Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drawing Science. And this is a little bit different type of episode here. Oh, that was Fizzgig. I don't know if you heard that. It's my cat. And anyway, this episode is going to be coloring the seahorse. I had a special request from my friend Sherry. She watched the seahorse video and was just devastated that I didn't color it. So I'm coloring it now. And I'm actually going to try and color this in a way that you could color this at home. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to change the background to like a kind of a whitish paper color because I want it to be accurate for you guys. So because I know most of you are probably not drawing it digitally, and if you are, this isn't going to mess you up anyway. So let's make it good for everyone. Now, what I'm going to do, this technique I'm going to use is a combination, if I was doing this traditionally, of like Copic marker and colored pencil, or it could be watercolor and colored pencil, or paint and colored pencil, or just any kind of marker. But colored pencil is the key here. I'm really going to use the quote unquote marker just to lay down a flat color. So I'm going to choose a yellowish color and a little bit on the dark side, not like Darth Vader dark side, but you know, I'm going to test it out here. Yeah, maybe a little lighter than that. Let's try this. That looks pretty good. All right, so basically I'm going to just put a base coat down. Now this is if you did your lines in pencil or ink, then you could probably do this with marker pretty easily, and you're not going to mess anything up. It's going to just color right over it. I think you'll be able to see your pencil markings. You may have to go over it again, you know, the outlines if you want to. I mean, or you could just color it to a point where you don't need to. You could use a colored pencil for sure to do that. And yeah, so we're just going to get this kind of base coat in here, this yellow color, just so we have something to build off of. Now, as far as colored pencils go, here's my recommendation. All right, I'm not one, although although I have spent my fair share of money on art supplies over the years. I am not one that thinks that you have to have super expensive art supplies to make art. However, I will say this: when it comes to colored pencils, depending on what you're doing with them, you want to get a decent type of colored pencil. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do certain techniques. You're not going to have the rich colors and that sort of thing. And what's probably going to happen is you're going to use these colored pencils and you're going to be like, these stink. I don't like these. This is nothing like what I've seen people do. And you're going to get frustrated, and then you're just going to, you're just going to abandon colored pencils. Don't do that. In my opinion, you're better off getting a small set of good colored pencils. They don't have to be the best colored pencils out there, but decent colored pencils, than a large set of more expensive ones. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what are decent colored pencils? Look in the fine art section of an art supply store, someplace like Michael's. There, look for things like Prismacolor. Now, don't go with the Crayola ones or the generic colored pencils. Those are fine for like coloring books, things like that. Those are great. But when you want to do kind of more fine art techniques, you're going to find them a little wanting. You need the right type of colored pencil. So anyway, if you have more questions about that, let me know in either on our group, our Drawing Science group, if you want to join that, or in the comment section below. I'd be happy to tell you all about my experience with colored pencils because I am a fan of the colored pencil. So I'm going to switch to a pencil-y type of brush now on my Procreate program here. And the reason I wanted to do colored pencils is because one of the things you can do is you can actually lighten stuff up over like marker stuff a little bit. You're not going to get it bright white, maybe you will. Another thing you can do though, if you want to get whiter, you can use like a gel pen, like a Jelly Roll white pen, something like that. They make a bunch of them. Yeah. All right, so let's get started here. So I've got my base color down. Now what I want to do next is I'm going to add some of these darker tones. So I'm just going to pick a color that's a little bit closer to a brown, like a light tan or a darker yellow, and I'm going to look for places to shade my seahorse. So right here on his little rostrum underneath, and I'm looking for two things here. I'm looking for just shadow shading. So maybe let's say that well, our light's coming from up here because that's where the highlight is in this one. So we're not going to change that. Our light's coming from there. So we're going to have some shadow, maybe a little bit on the front of his little schnoz there. We're going to have shadow underneath here. Now, when you're drawing with pencil, when you're coloring, I should say, with pencil or colored pencil, um, it's a good idea to do little circles instead of this. Because this, you're going to be able to see the lines. Even in the digital one, you can see them. Little circles is how you get a real smooth texture, and you can blend better and stuff like that. All right, so we're going to give him, because he got a little stubble there, and around his eye, we'll give him a little shadow there. It's going to be a shadow here under this fin. Okay, and then I'm going to give a little shadow here to indicate these ridges. Right, just like so. Now the light's coming from the top here, but this is a curved surface, so you're still going to get a little shadow here, and all along the belly we're going to get some shadow. So we're going to add that in there. Now be mindful though, we want to add these highlight sections, so I don't really want to cover that, because if I cover that in colored pencil, it will make it harder to cover. So I'm going to just try and avoid those areas. The good thing though is that your seahorse you can vary where those go, because it's not like a perfect pattern that's the same on all seahorses or anything like that. Now I said use those circular lines, but something to remember is that if you're doing a small space, you can get away with them. They're not circular. So see, I'm leaving some space here. This is where some of my highlights are going to be, and they're not going to be the same as the one on the left exactly. Some are going to be the same, but I'm just giving, this is just that shadow area. Now you could actually do this in like Copic marker too. If you are using Copic markers, they would work really well for that. Let's use a little bit darker. You can blend it in, or you can have like a harsh shadow. Depends on the lighting. If you have a brighter light, more direct light, then you're going to get a more harsh shadow, but you can decide that. Now, our light's coming down here, so I'm going to switch, working on the tip of the tail here. Okay, because at some point, this light's going to hit down here. All right, so just going to get that there, and that's pretty good. I'm going to shade in this little peduncle thing here. It's a fun marine science word. And yeah, and so this is our base shading. So this is maybe the darkest areas of our shading are going to be here. And now I'm going to switch to a little bit lighter color, something in between. Or if you don't have another color, switch to that original color maybe. Probably want to go a little bit darker than that though. And just color lighter over that. Okay, and I'm just going to give a little bit more shadow coming in here. Now keep in mind that these lines, those are three-dimensional, so you might get a shadow or highlight on either side of those. Also, the bottom of these ridges, you're going to get a shadow. So see how I'm coloring here? And also keep in mind that this is a quick coloring. If I was really doing a serious seahorse coloring in colored pencil or digitally, I would take a little bit more time than this. I want you to get the idea of how it works, but I don't want you to have to sit through like 2 hours of me coloring a seahorse, because you probably have better things to do. All right, so let's get these ridges in here, and you can see how it's making everything sort of pop out. And this is a great animal to practice your shading on because there are all these ridges, and it's very forgiving, very forgiving textures and stuff like that. I'm gonna add a little bit more up here, maybe a little bit of a shadow in here, so it kind of blends a little bit. Okay, so now we've got some secondary shading in here. I'm also going to add a little bit on this side, even though our light source is coming from up here. Um, this curves and this is a little bit below, so we might get a little bit of shadow in here. There we go. There. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Now we're going to add those highlights. So we're going to find like a cream, almost white color. If you're using colored pencils, you might want to use white for this. It depends on how big your set is. So, you can use white. It'll work fine. And you're just going to color all these little highlight areas. Now, what I want to do is kind of highlight on this crest a little bit. Some of these are highlights. Some of these are just coloration on the animal. Okay, see how nice that looks? There we go. Then now these fins are kind of transparent. You can see through them. So a lot of times I'll lighten those up. And then again, I'm doing little circles now to help with the texture. I know this is digital, but I'm telling you, colored pencil is going to behave a lot like this. It's not that different. Some people think that if you work digitally, it's like some magic thing that you can suddenly draw better. It's not true. It's a very similar process. There are shortcuts you can use with digital, and sometimes it can be a little more forgiving if you make a mistake, that sort of thing. But the principles are often the same. If you're doing something like this is pretty much the same as drawing with a traditional pencil or colored pencil, paint, markers, that sort of thing. I like it as a good way to learn. If you're willing and able to pay for a digital thing like the iPad Pro, I know that's not cheap, but if you're serious about art, it's a good investment. You're going to get a lot out of it, and yeah. Now look at this. I'm going to add a little highlight here on this ridge where the light's kind of hitting it. And even down here, even though I didn't draw a line with the pencil, the regular black pencil, I'm going to still kind of highlight that because that ridge might be there, it's just not as pronounced. Like here, same kind of thing. See? And that kind of adds some coolness to it there. I'm going to give this a little bit lighter color. Now let's say you were just working colored pencil and you were working on a colored paper. Well, you could maybe use the color of that paper for this part when you color it in. Or maybe not even go over it as dark with the marker originally. Something like that. I'm going to give him a little bit of a highlight here up in the top of the eye. And these little spikes that are sticking up. Now another thing I'll tell you is paper can be kind of important. So give him a little highlight on his schnoz here. With colored pencil, it can be important because you might find that you're trying to draw on something with colored pencil and it's not making any marks or something like that. You may just need a little bit thicker tooth to it. So make sure that you get a paper that is designed for colored pencil or pencil media. A little bit of a tooth. You don't want super smooth paper. Usually for colored pencil, for most techniques, rough. A little bit of texture is going to be better. Too much texture just depends on your preference, that sort of thing. But all right, now I'm going to go with a darker color, like a brown color. Here's another kind of cool thing about digital art. See, I've got this color thing over here, and I can change the hue. And you learn things like from doing this, like that brown is really kind of an orange yellow. See how it changes the hue when I switch to there, but it's like one of these dark, it's just a darker version of it. You get grayer if you less saturated. It's a good way to learn about color. So, all right, so we're going to go there. Let's see if that looks like, yep, I like that. So our seahorse is going to have some different markings. Maybe I'll just kind of highlight the markings and maybe a little bit of that shadow on his rostrum. I'm going to give him those little lines on his eye there. We're going to give him a little bit more of these like markings or texture on his face. Maybe give him some spots. Look at some real seahorse pictures to get some ideas how to color your seahorse. If you can scan your drawing and then print it, just the outline of it, you can just recolor it like like your own coloring book, and that's a good way to practice, that sort of thing, and get more confident, stuff like that. If it's your only one, you're like, I don't want to mess it up. Been there, done that. So that'll kind of help with that. So yeah, I'm just going to add these spots, and we're almost done. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you like these coloring videos? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. I love getting suggestions for stuff. Thank you again, Sherry, for suggesting that I do this coloring. I color some of them with you guys, some of them I don't. But if there's ever one that you're like, man, I really wish I could have seen that color, let me know. And hey, I'll probably do it. So yeah, if you like these videos, though, please subscribe to my channel. Please give them a thumbs up on YouTube. Join the Facebook group, and let me know what you think. Share your drawings, and let us see them, and help you out, and give you encouragement, tell you how good you're doing. And yeah, that's about all I got. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.